The command which has undergone the most radical overhaul in LSS version 10 is Edit General Text. The purpose behind this rewrite is to make the command not only easier to use by existing and new users, but to also make it very much more efficient. Having entered the command, we are immediately in the Add New Text option, which means that we can select where we want to insert the text, but we also need to be aware of what settings are being defaulted to at the top. For example, we've got a default text style, we have a default text size, so this will be a multiplier of that standard style. We have a preset which includes simple text, the center of which is placed where we select with the cursor, and the text is drawn left and right from that, oriented to the sheet. We have text which will appear above the insertion point or points, text drawn between two insertion points, text which will be spread between two insertion points, and there are various options for deciding whether you want to spread just the gaps between the characters or make the characters larger as well. We have options for centralizing an item of text defined by 3 insertion points. We have text which is stretched and fixed to a ground position. This will be useful for road markings, for example. We can fix the rotation of text. What that means is that if you place some text on the screen and then rotate it so that it is effectively upside down, what LSS will normally do is flip the text so it is nominally readable from the bottom of the screen. By fixing the rotation, it will be drawn upside down if that's what you want it to do. We have a number of advanced settings, and we have the ability to define the preset points for the text itself. So let's go to Simple Text, and we'll make it center justified horizontally and middle justified vertically. We can give it a background color. That's for display and also for plotting, so we can make the plotting color the same if we wish. And we can also define arrows and pointers, etc. So we now enter the text. So you can see now it has that mustard colored background. Enter will create a new line. And you'll see that it is aligning it center justified and middle justified. We can increase the size of the text, decrease it, change the text style, so size, color, font, change the justification, and insert up to 4 pointers. So having got that item of text, we can move the cursor into either the right border or the left border, and you'll see the cursor changes to an arrow cursor, and we can now orient it as required. If we hold the Control key down, we can align the text to a specific link feature. And click and drag inside the text will allow us to move it. If we hold Control down, we get a copy cursor, and we can then click and it will copy that item of text. Now, having got that item of text highlighted, we can now change the specific settings for that bit of text. and if we hold Control and click, we'll be copying that version of the text. So just to recap before we move on to a more complex example, having entered the text, to commit that text you can either click elsewhere in the survey or hold Control and press Enter. If, having entered the text, you escape or do something else, then you will lose that item of text. What you can also do as well is, having put the cursor inside the text, Control A will highlight it all and therefore will allow you to type over the top. When entering text, there are three ways to commit that text into the survey. You can either click anywhere else within the survey, you can hit Control and the Enter key, or you can select the green tick in the panel. For more information on all of these, please look at our comprehensive help, but stick around, we're going to look at a more complex example next. I will now demonstrate a more complex worked example of general text, and I'm going to attempt to draw text which fills this rectangular area here. I begin by selecting my required text style, and if I'm not sure what parameters I'm using there, if I go into amend the feature, I can now go and change the font and the display and plot colors, etc. I'm going to insert the text by defining the lower left, lower right and the top right, so I'm going to choose 3-point horizontal, and I need to decide now whether horizontally the text I enter is going to stretch from this end to this end, and it's going to stretch the space between the characters and the characters themselves. There will be no stretch, or I will just stretch the gap between the characters. Similarly, for the height, I can stretch the characters themselves and the line, or just the line between the characters. I select a display color, and in this case I may want to snap on these reference points with the cursor, and clearly I can change that whenever I want to. I can now type away, I can copy the text and then edit the contents of that. If I'm not happy with the formatting, then I can change it here, and I can also change the text style.